Now let us go to diagnosis according to Zhangfu organ patterns, damp heat invading the spleen. The major difference between this and the previous pattern is the presence of heat symptoms and signs. Like damp cold invading the spleen, this pattern can be both acute and chronic. An acute condition will occur when there is an invasion of exogenous pathogenic qi, whereas a chronic condition is usually the result of spleen qi deficiency, creating dampness or consuming food and beverages that create dampness or damp heat. Dampness, when it stagnates, will generate heat and transform into damp heat. This process is accelerated if there is already heat present in the body, and this will typically be liver qi stagnation heat. This pattern is often characterized by there being a chronic condition of latent damp heat, which flares up every time food or beverages are consumed that generate damp heat or damp heat. In general, the symptoms will be milder and less pronounced when there is a chronic condition. The etiology is invasions of exogenous damp heat, such as the ingestion of contaminated food, living or working in hot and humid conditions, and direct contact with viruses, bacteria, and other pathogens that have a damp heat nature. The excessive intake of foods that have damp heat generating energy can be both a root cause and an aggravating factor. Damp heat can often arise as a consequence of chronic spleen qi and damp conditions. The symptoms and signs are loose or sticky stools, odorous stools, burning or stinging sensation in the rectum when defecating, dark, scanty urine, oppressive or blocked sensation in the epigastric region or the lower part of the abdominal cavity, epigastric or abdominal pain, flatulence that is odorous, greasy or oily skin, smoky or dull yellowish sheen to the facial complexion, thirst with no desire to drink, poor appetite, nausea or vomiting, bitter taste or sticky sensation in the mouth, oily or sticky sweat, odorous sweat, slight fever or sensation of heat, aversion to heat or to hot, humid environments, and red, itchy, inflamed, or weeping skin disease, oppressive headache or heaviness in the head, blurred sensation in the head as if the head is full of cotton wool, yellowish sclera, yellowish sticky tongue coating, possibly red elevated papillae, and the tongue may be red but is often pale or normal colored in chronic conditions where there is an underlying deficiency condition, rapid and slippery pulse. The key symptoms are sticky and odorous stools, yellowish sticky tongue coating, and slippery pulse. The treatment principle is drain damp heat. The acupuncture points to choose from are stomach 25, stomach 28, stomach 44, LI11, spleen 6, spleen 9, and UB22. If there is also spleen qi deficiency, add spleen 3, stomach 36, REN 12, and UB20, and utilize the tonifying needle technique. And the needle technique is draining. The explanation is the stomach 25, stomach 28, stomach 44, and LI11 drain damp heat from the stomach and intestines, whereas spleen 6, spleen 9, and UB22 drain dampness, and stomach 36, spleen 3, UB20, and REN 12 tonify spleen qi, transform dampness, and regulate qi in the middle jiao. Relevant advice. It is essential that a person with chronic damp heat invading the spleen avoids as far as possible food and beverages that create damp heat, dampness, or heat. It is usually not enough to avoid sugar, sweets, cake, and so on. They should also avoid dried fruits, stevia, artificial sweeteners, and anything else that has a concentrated sweet flavor. Alcohol, hot spices, including chili, pepper, chocolate, and garlic will also be problematic, as will dairy products. Whilst they should avoid things that create damp heat, and they should try to consume a diet that is beneficial for the spleen. The damp heat invading the spleen can be caused by the following patterns of imbalance: spleen qi deficiency, spleen yang deficiency, damp cold invading the spleen, and stomach fire. And damp heat invading the spleen can result in the following patterns of imbalance: spleen qi deficiency, phlegm fire. In summary, damp heat in the spleen's etiology: exterior damp heat, eating contaminated or unclean food, possible background spleen qi deficiency. The signs and symptoms are fullness of the epigastrium and lower abdomen, epigastric and abdominal pain, poor appetite, feeling of heaviness, thirst without desire to drink, nausea and vomiting, loose stools with offensive odor, yellow urine, heavy cumbersome limbs, tenesmus, feeling of heat, low-grade fever, unabated by sweating, headache, bitter taste, and yellow sclera. The pulse is slippery, rapid, or soggy. The tongue will be red with sticky yellow coating. The treatment principle is clear heat, resolve dampness, and regulate the intestines. The acupuncture treatments are Spleen 9 to resolve lower burner damp heat, Do 9 to resolve damp heat, Bladder 20 to resolve dampness, Ren 9 harmonizes the intestines, Stomach 22 to regulate the intestines, Bladder 22 regulates spleen and stomach 25 to regulate large intestine, Spleen 6 resolves the damp heat, and LI 11 clears heat and resolves damp. GB34 resolves damp heat. Ren 11 harmonizes middle burner. Stomach 28 regulates lower burner. LI4 clears the heat. For yellowing of body or eyes, drain liver 3 and gallbladder 34. For itchy skin, add spleen 10. And for pronounced heat, drain dew 14 and prick LI11 to bleed. Needle with drainage and no moxa. Thank you so much for your attention.